Good morning, welcome to a morning outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday, whenever it is. I've lost complete control of dates or memory of dates. It's the 9th of March. So, as promised, where next for oil was the question I popped on this morning. I'll look at oil first and then go on and look at the rest of the things afterwards, the asset classes. So, well, we can say I've just gone onto a quarterly chart here, and I just thought I'd have a look at the prices first. So it's only back to the sort of 2008 levels. 2008, it was 2008 when we last saw these. I mean, it's not quite there. There's still room to push on up. What was happening back in 2008? Well, if you might remember, there was a credit bubble that had burst, and the banks were going bust, and everything else was hitting the fan. So it was a rare old time, but we did manage, and back then. But anyway, that's where it all was. In terms of where to, is it going to be allowed to go up that far? Possibly. Speculators can jump on this. OPEC are trying to tell us there's no shortage. There's oil there. One thing for sure, unlike the gas situation, there are plenty of tankers. We're not short of tankers as such, although there might have been oil that's been pumped from Russia to other places, which is now having to be brought in. So there might be more demand on tankers. So that will be a slight potential bottleneck, but otherwise really it's the tankers are there, and it's a case of who's pumping it, I suppose, and can they pump it. If they can't pump it, if there isn't the capacity to pump, then there is a shortage, and I guess that's what it really comes down to. So are we going to really know the truth there? Probably not. But the fact that they're saying there's no shortage of oil well, they're either trying to make the markets feel a bit better. But anyway, technically there's room to go up higher for sure. Well, I mean, we've experienced it higher previously. Fundamentally, there's a lot of pressure on coming to some sort of agreements to pump more and reduce the prices of oil at the end of the day. Now, certain countries are doing all different things and considering different things in terms of reducing the burden on the end consumer of the effect of this, but either way, at the moment, where next for oil? Well, there's nothing stopping it. I did look at the futures. Now, this will only tell you what the futures are doing at this stage, and when you look at the futures prices here, I mean, the oil sitting at 124. You look down here, and there's an expectation, I guess, and it's trading a lot less. Where are we? It's just stated December 22. It's trading a lot less. It's still trading significantly higher than it was at the beginning of this year. So these figures are $97 a barrel, but whether that's any forecast, it's not really. But that's the current price that it's changing hands at. But it's this very speculative market in that world, and you can't take too much from that, if anything at all. But that's where traders are happy to be buying at the moment their barrels. Anyway, so technically we've got upside potential. Fundamentally, allegedly, we've got supply, and we've got, as I said, I think we've got the means to get that supply around. So that's oil for this morning. Anyway, so morning, Christina. So where next for everything else, I guess it comes down to. Let's actually, before we look at the euro, I'll just bring that chart back up here and bring this back up, and let's have a look at the calendar for the day ahead. There's very little, but if I put tomorrow on there, all of a sudden it becomes very key. And I was looking at euro yesterday, and it was quite choppy and tight ranging for quite some time. I think the risk is it could go back or stay in that sort of zone, or get back into that zone based on this ECB meeting tomorrow. So today we got very little. We got the oil inventories later at 3:30. That could certainly give a bit of a surge there. But job openings, I don't think that's going to be a massive focus on that in the current climate. So there we are. That's with news for a moment in terms of expectations to come out there. Let's have a look at the technicals, and I'm looking at a daily euro at the moment, and it looks slightly wrong because that buy certainly looks a bit tight for yesterday. Anyway, today's bar, here we go. Let's have a look at what's actually happening here. So there is a slight retracement occurring here. We've still got the weekly pivot above. I was looking for opportunities to potentially sell yesterday. I still am, but not from here possibly. We'll see how things shape up here. There is a sort of trend running across the lows, which it might create something, but it's not, from where we are at the moment, I don't particularly want to be in a short position that I'm going to be holding it through to tomorrow, because goodness knows what's going to happen tomorrow. It might work out, it might completely go the opposite way. It's all mights, and not going to make any money on that. So I'm just waiting for the technicals. If it breaks down this morning, gets back probably below the pivot there, it might be a bit more interesting. But the whole cluster of moving averages sitting there, the 34, the 50, all in support there. So there is that potential area to hold oil back, the euro back. A break of the 50 will certainly look a bit better for the downside. But you just see the size of the bars at the moment just reducing. The pound, well, again, yesterday's bar's a bit weird. I don't know what's going on with this. I do apologise. Look at the 4 hourlies anyway, and well, the pound just continued float around its bottoms. It's picking up a little bit as I speak, but really it's just range bound. It's very difficult to trade when it's like this, because you just get the spikes either side of this. It'll draw you in, draw you out. I say realistically, but technically, that's the word. I don't know about realism and technical ever really being completely right, but maybe there's something there. But technically, we've got this sort of consolidation around the low, and I would generally expect it to run further down unless it starts putting higher lows in. But at the moment it's looking soft, and well, the S1 sits there at 130.73. Could be a target later, but we'll see how it goes. It's got some levels of support underneath it, previous open, yesterday's lows, etc. But it looks soft, but consolidating. The yen really looks like the yen have actually got a feed on properly for yesterday. But 4 hourly wise, let's just have a look there, and it did actually continue yesterday, pushing up there. It's broken out the highs here. I'm not surprised. I thought quite a long while ago we would see yen pushing up further, but it didn't. It kept on rolling back, but this time it's broken those levels. It's sitting there as the weakest currency this morning against its peers. Certainly looking soft there at the moment. Where to? Let's just go back to the dailies here, and assuming that this daily bar's right, we're not too far off of the previous highs there. We could see a reaction maybe into the monthly pivot. That's where the bodies of those previous bars are, if not into the absolute highs. But a break above that could see us heading up to the 120 eventually. I say eventually, could take some time. Aussie dollar, right, we've got the bounce back. The commodities currency is doing better this morning. Suddenly getting back in charge. I was waiting for this yesterday to find some sort of bounce off the weekly. It didn't happen. That was the day before, but yesterday just really didn't do too much at all. Again, consolidation much of the day. It didn't go down for the I was looking for the monthly actually at one stage, but didn't even go for that. It's sitting there And again, quite tight. It's consolidated around these. Perhaps we'll see it pushing up a bit more today. It had been running up quite well. Australia as a commodity producer, miner, etc., should do well out of higher commodity prices overall, and it could further strengthen the currency. But at the moment, well, it's, as I say, edging back up there. It's not an immediate, oh, I want to be buying that straight away, although the R1 sits above there. It's already through its daily pivot and it's starting to move up there. It's got a possibility. It's probably the best of the markets I'm looking at the moment, but it's not giving me a lot of encouragement. Canadian dollar, well, Canadian dollar, it's solid update for the US dollar stroke Canadian dollar. US dollar did pretty well yesterday, but we're just seeing that coming back off again now. And as I said, dollar is actually sitting as the second weakest currency of the bundle at the moment. It's giving stuff back for the day to date, but I mean, you look at it, it might be weak at the moment, but we'll see what happens here. The Canadian dollar just consolidation here, sitting into its daily pivot. If that can remain as support, we start seeing a break to the upside. There might be opportunities. Again, this could be affected by the crude oil inventories later, may have a knock-on effect, but for now, I really still see it. There's more upside on this US dollar to go at this stage, even though Canadian dollar, Canada commodities, but not to the same extent. Right, let's look elsewhere then. Let's look at the commodities. It's all commodities. Might as well look at them. So, gold's looking very much like oil. had a large move up, and now it's got consolidating here. But it does look like it's got scope for further upside. The way it's running here, okay, it's a 60 minutes. Come out and see if I can. There you go. So it's made those near-term highs. We're still away from the. Actually, I'm on a quarterly chart here, and it's not too far out of the highs back in 2020 there. So not too far away from those now. I didn't realise how close it was, but it's got potential for more upside for sure in the current scheme of things. But it just seems to be maybe it will consolidate, slow down a little bit where it's sitting. But looking at the smaller time frames, it looks well. If it can push up above even the high of this current bar, it might just get a bit of traction. But look, there's sort of markets where people start losing a bit of belief in it going up a lot further. But I'm sure there'll be people that are suggesting it's going to go to the moon. Okay. That's commodities. Let's switch charts. So, Bitcoin. Here we go. Cryptos. So, looking at the crypto market, well, oil with the weaker US dollar this morning is certainly helping Bitcoin. It did very little yesterday, relatively, but really taking a shove up at the moment. Where to? Well, I still think it's bearish below the 46,000. It's into what is possibly a bit of a complex wave structure. What's going on here, and at some stage it's still got I think more potential to go down than up at the moment. I know it's going up right this minute, but in the bigger picture, it's still got the potential to lose grace a little bit more yet. The other markets, how they're benefiting this morning, where they are. I'm just looking at this. I was been drawing lines on it recently. The Ethereum, quite a long way away from my sort of trend line breaks here. Ripple a bit closer to a trend break, but again, it's got so much resistance sitting above it, and as much as it's you think, well, perhaps it's going to go. But they're looking through these markets. Yes, they're getting a bounce at the moment, but I'm not massively convinced yet. In fact, Binance, I should really take that trend line off there because it shouldn't be there anymore. It's a bit of a mess. But again, BNB doing okay at the moment. Again, but they're all in this sort of bearish zone still for me. Right, that's the crypto side of things. Let's have a look at the equity markets as we've run in indices. So start off looking in Asia, and once again, no surprise first at CSI 300. It has made yet another low. It's just okay, it's seeing a bit of a bounce here, but I mean, we've seen a significant correction, and it was, I remain bearish. The Nikkei, same here. It's not necessarily moved quite so far down, but continuing in these downward direction. Nifty 50 came back and closed the gap eventually there then, so it's managed to pull back, close the gap, but again, looking at the bigger picture, I'm still thinking these markets have got more downside. There's more pressure on these markets yet. Looking into Europe then, actually I can look at the FTSE because it's open, and it's opened up well this morning. 100-point gain this morning so far. Wow, in 2 minutes. That's the quickest old bar going, isn't it? But certainly a bullish outlook this morning by the looks of things. People were positively positive here in the Europe. Okay, and the DAX are pushing up, but I remain bearish. I think some of these may be giving us opportunities to get short, wherefrom we'd probably have to look at the lower time frames, pop on a few trend lines, etc., and look for the potential. But these markets, yes, they're getting a retracement at the moment, but they really need some analysis to see exactly where to get short on. But a retracement, it was on the books, I suppose, at some stage. Certainly not happening so much in the Asian markets, European markets, more so US market. Looking at the S&P's bouncing a little bit this morning. Again, opportunities may be for a later short, but just pick your fight carefully. So if these bounces can get any momentum, they could come back quite aggressively, but just wait for it to be on its way back down again. It's the basic story there. Nasdaq, again, we're making sort of multi-year or multi-month lows, maybe years lows at the rate we're going, and the Dow Jones following suit. So really, with these equity markets at the moment, it's a case of just looking for see how much these retracements are going to go up to, and pick your fight carefully to trade in the direction. So that's pretty much it for me this morning. So yeah, the markets may well drag crypto down again. I see a comment there. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I wish you a great day, and I will catch you in the morrow. So for those people on YouTube, there's, if you want, you can come and join me for 5 mornings next week. So the whole of next week, between, well, after this video is finished and 10 o'clock each morning, come and join me in the trading room, see how it goes, see what we're doing. And if you want to do that, there's a link sat below this video once it's put on the site. Have a great one up until then. Take care. Bye for now.